Hello and welcome to Post, the channel where we discuss all things hockey. I'm here with my friend Justin, and we're going to talk about the All-Star Game today. Justin, why don't you introduce yourself?
Well, as Neil says, my name is Justin. I too, diehard hockey guy. As you can see from the shirt, perhaps, I am a Pittsburgh Penguins fan of 2016 Stanley Cup champion, so I had to make sure I wore that today. And as well as my All-Star hat here, I had to make sure I wore that since we will be talking about all things related to the 2017 NHL All-Star Game.
Now, the All-Star Game is a debatable topic because there are a lot of fans out there who really hate the All-Star Game, and there are a lot of fans who think it's a very important part of the game. Before doing any research on this for this video, I was leaning towards maybe the side that didn't think that it was that important, and maybe it was a bit of a waste of time. But the more research I did, the more I found out, the more that I realized that it is an important part of the game, and it should be part of the game. So with that being said, I think we've each done a bit of research on the All-Star Game, and I'm curious to know what you found out about the current All-Star Game because to be honest, I don't know much about it. So can you tell me a little bit about the format of the upcoming All-Star Game?
Yeah, of course. And just to reiterate a little bit on there kind of being two different sides of this, whereas we have NHL fans, hockey fans that are for the All-Star Game. And of course, we have fans that are saying, hey, you know, this is a waste of time, so on and so forth, and are just fully against it. Going into the research for today to discuss the All-Star Game, I was fully on the side of, okay, this is a huge waste of time. I have no interest at all in the All-Star Game. If I look back over the last 15, perhaps even 20 years of my life, there's maybe one or two All-Star Games that I actually tuned into, watched some of, or maybe was even just the slightest bit entertained. Now, in 2009, I did go to the NHL All-Star Game in Montreal. That's where I purchased this hat. And to be a fan, to be in amongst that atmosphere, it was an awesome experience, I have to say. It was, of course, boring linear hockey when you have just East versus West, okay, it's your typical 5-on-5 hockey game. There was no compete level in that game. There was no competition. The guys weren't checking. The guys weren't forechecking. It was mainly just a skate around, pass the puck around, maybe try to make something fancy or take a very high risk that you'd never see in your everyday NHL game.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of that was actually listened to by the league, and they decided, hey, let's change this up and try to make it more entertaining for the fans, to give back to them. And instead of just your typical East versus West 5-on-5 All-Star Game format, we now have a 3-on-3 divisional tournament within the All-Star weekend. Now, for this, the NHL set up their online voting system once again. Now, they did this in previous years, a la John Scott, the other year. So they did kind of change it a little bit to say, okay, hey, here's the list of guys you can vote for. Outside this list, hey, we're sorry, you can't vote for them for the All-Star Game.
Yeah.
So while some may complain on that and say, hey, you know, the guy I really wanted to see in the All-Star Game, he's not on the list. Well, hey, that's all well and good, but the NHL really wanted to make sure that all the stars of the game really shone through. So with the 3-on-3 format, we're going to see a lot of really interesting matchups. If we look at the Metropolitan Division, for example, we're going to have Crosby and Ovechkin playing together 3-on-3. Now, the possibilities there can be endless because you can look at that and say, okay, Ovechkin is the best goal scorer in the NHL today, and I will full-on agree with that statement, as well as saying Crosby is perhaps the best setup artist in the NHL. And it's just going to be so interesting to see because with 3-on-3, you have so much open ice, so much opportunity there for creativity. And the fact that in the first round, maybe there's a surprise. Maybe there's a division that's suddenly knocked out of contention.
Yeah, I think
so. It's kind of unpredictable, and I think that has fans talking. It has interest around it, and it's just going to be so exciting to see how this unfolds. And what I like about it the most is it's going to add a compete level to it because with 3-on-3, the players are going to look at this and say, hey, there's open ice. maybe I can do some damage here that I couldn't necessarily do in an NHL game.
Exactly.
Obviously, there's going to be some risks involved, but the nice thing is there's going to be a prize for the team that does place as the champion of this tournament. There is a $1 million prize there. Now, with that, of course, the players can't just say, hey, I just won $1 million, go on vacation and so on. That's going to be a charitable donation to their choice. So that's huge.
Yeah,
the NHL is giving back. That sends a really good vibe, really good image. So I have to say, for the first time ever in my life, I'm actually intrigued over the All-Star game, and I will be tuning in.
Yeah, you know what? It's going to be very exciting. I think anyone who's ever seen a 3-on-3 overtime in a regular NHL game are going to be very thrilled to see their All-Stars compete in a 3-on-3. It's going to be very exciting. And I guess the question I have is how, so there's, each division gets to pick one 3-on-3 team? Like I'm looking at the Atlantic, and there's Carey Price, Tuukka Rask, Hedman, Weber, Carlson, Nielsen, Kucherov, Trocheck, Matthews, Okposo, and Marchand. So are there two 3-on-3 teams within each division? Or
well, from everything that I saw, each division have its own 3-on-3 team. Now, obviously, if you're playing 3-on-3 hockey, you're not going to be able to last for a full 20-minute period. With that much open ice and that much skating back up and down the ice, you're going to get winded rather quickly.
So there's going to be line changes.
Oh, yeah. There's going to be full-on line changes for sure. So you're going to see, each division matched up against the other rival divisions, but there won't be multiple teams per division from the research that I was able to do. So you will see a lot of unique matchups. Of course, you'll see Crosby, Ovechkin, throw Malkin in there as well. Now, obviously, we've seen Crosby and Malkin play together. And yes, we have seen Malkin and Ovechkin play together at the Olympic level as well. But imagine all three of them on the ice at one time.
Yeah.
could get interesting.
It's crazy. Yeah, I wasn't sure if maybe like Carey Price would have his own team, and maybe Tuukka Rask would have three of his own team, and there could potentially meet both Atlantic teams in the finals or something like that. So, but I think that what you just outlined is probably the better format of line changes. So there's only 4 teams, one from each division. It's going to be really exciting. I think the skills competition has always held most of the interest because, like you said, the regular All-Star game was a bit laid back. No one to compete effort wasn't really there. It was just a kind of a lazy event. But this year, I think the 3-on-3 will by far be the most entertaining part of the All-Star weekend, and the skills competition will take the back seat this year.
Yeah, I fully agree. 3-on-3 hockey is incredible to see. Anytime I see a game in the regular season go to overtime, I actually start to get excited, whereas before I'd be biting my fingernails thinking, hey, Pittsburgh, come on, we could really use this extra point right now, that type thing. But I get so excited for 3-on-3 hockey because it's unpredictable, it's so fast, there's so much open ice, there's so much room for creativity.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable hockey. And the fact that the NHL is actually listening to the feedback from fans or, the entire NHL community to say, hey, your All-Star game is wonderful. You can promote the game, you have stars, but the actual game itself, very linear, very boring. There's just no reason for me to tune in. But the fact that they've now changed it completely to this 3-on-3 elimination tournament, it's unbelievable. And I think the attention now that's going to be given to the All-Star game is just going to go through the roof because, it has fans talking, just like us today.
Absolutely.
And it's really just creating a buzz and a lot more interest. So it's huge. Kudos to the NHL for listening and changing it up.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you tell me a little bit, we've talked about this before a little bit, but I guess I don't know it in full detail. Can you tell me a little bit more about your experience in 2009 when you were in Montreal for the All-Star game?
Yeah, of course. In 2009, when I attended the All-Star game in Montreal, I really lucked out. I had third row, center ice seats, killer seats.
Wow.
So I was really able to take in that game at a whole new level. And I was really able to take some nice pictures as well, during warm-ups with the players on the ice. And it was an incredible experience. But one thing that really stood out to me was during the warm-ups leading up to the skills competition. Now, this is before, of course, the TV cameras are rolling.
Yeah.
and they're actually live on the air. All the guys, they're sitting on the bench. We had Malkin there and so on. But he stuck out to me because there was a child sitting behind Malkin, and you could clearly see he was wearing a Malkin jersey. And for about 5 minutes, he was just banging on the glass like you wouldn't believe, trying to get Malkin's attention.
Yeah.
And eventually he did get Malkin's attention, and Malkin signaled for his parents to throw his jersey over the glass.
Oh, wow.
So they did that. They threw it over, and sure enough, out of nowhere, Malkin hauls out a Sharpie, signs the jersey, and throws it back over the glass.
Wow.
Well, instantly fans saw this. So you just see all these Pittsburgh Penguins fans start flocking in behind the East bench. And then all of them start throwing any type of Pittsburgh Penguin merchandise over the glass. And he was literally signing everything.
Wow, good for him.
And was having the time of his life.
That's awesome.
And throwing it back over the glass. But this probably lasted for maybe 15 minutes before security came in and said, hey, we're soon going to be on the air here. This has to stop.
Yeah, because they have events outside of the actual game for signings and stuff like that for people to go to, right?
Yep, of course. And that's something else I was going to elaborate on as well, because outside the Bell Center, now not being from Montreal, I'm not sure what the name of that street is, right outside the Bell Center, but during the All-Star weekend, that street was actually shut down because there was just so many festivities going on. There were outdoor activities for children. There was a huge tent set up outside where people could pay $160, might sound steep, to get into the tent, but every player that was participating in the All-Star game was in that tent. You could go in, you could have meet and greets with the players, you could have pictures taken, you could have autographs, and so on. They had huge ice sculptures that lined the Bell Center completely. And the ice sculptures was the logo of every single NHL team. So you could go, you could have pictures with the ice sculptor and so on. So just to elaborate a little more on that, the All-Star game is almost to the point now where it's bigger than just a game or a 3-on-3 tournament. It's really about that fan interaction, promoting the game, and just giving back to one of the 30 NHL cities out there.
Yeah, definitely.
Because of the attention that's drawn. And with that comes significant revenue for the host city.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of the cities, I'm curious to know where you think the next All-Star game might be. Now, next year, could have the Olympics. It's not for sure yet. So we'll just assume that we will be going to the Olympics next year. There won't be an All-Star game. So in 2019, who would you like to see as the host city?
I know, hands down, I would choose Vegas. Reason being, they're a brand new franchise. So why not showcase that franchise as well as what they can offer as a host city, as now a new NHL city, to the rest of the NHL universe?
Yeah, I actually agree. I didn't even think about that, but that's a good point. I agree with that.
Yeah, that's would be my choice for the host city. Plus, come on, it's Vegas.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good show.
Yeah.
Hands down.
The year after that, in 2020, I think it's the Edmonton Oilers' 40th anniversary, and they just got a new arena, which is absolutely beautiful. I have a feeling we will be seeing the All-Star game in Edmonton in 2020. I think they've already been in talks with the NHL to have the All-Star game and the draft there. So that's going to be a big year for Edmonton. And my next question is, what cities do you think have not had an All-Star game since we've been alive?
Ooh, yeah, that's a good question. And to be honest, I wouldn't even know.
I didn't know either. I couldn't even think of, I honestly, I couldn't think of one city that definitely did not have it. So I had to look it up, and I have them here. So since we've been alive, Washington, the Islanders, Buffalo, Detroit, Winnipeg, San Jose, Anaheim, and Arizona have each never had an All-Star game in the city.
Wow, that's actually surprising when you hear some of those names.
It is.
Because some of those teams have been around for a long time.
Yeah.
That's really shocking, to be honest. But then again, I wouldn't have known because my interest in the All-Star game was really not there.
Exactly, and that's surprising. The city that stands out to me the most is Washington, based on Alexander Ovechkin.
Yeah, of course.
If you have a star like that, you'd think he's an all-star. You'd think that in the last, I think he's been in the league 11 years or something like that now.
Yep.
You'd think that they would at least have it in Washington once to honor Alexander Alexander Ovechkin and his All-Star status.
Yeah, this would be his 11th season. He would have came in 2004, but due to the lockout, he came in 2005, same year Crosby's drafted first overall. So that's why it was interesting to see 2 first overall picks competing for the Calder that year.
And my next trivia question is, which All-Star game in the past 20 years do you think had the most attendance just for the All-Star game?
Yeah, that's a good question for sure. Again, I'd have to look that up. I wouldn't have a clue.
I'll give you a hint. You were a part of it.
Oh, nice.
It was 2009 in Montreal. Yeah, it was 21,273.
Wow.
So
yeah, that's
substantial. Obviously, that has to do with the host city's rink and the capacity of it. So that's not really.
And again, that means Canada, hockey's our game.
Yes, exactly. And do you know the suspension fine or how many games you get if a player decides not to go to the All-Star game?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the only reason I know this is because in recent years, there's been a lot of players opt out. And the names of the likes of Crosby, Datsuk, Jonathan Toews, and so on. It's a 1-day suspension if you do basically skip the All-Star game, weekend festivities, and so on. But there's a lot of players that are willing to do that because, to me, until they came up with this 3-on-3 format, I think even the players didn't really like the All-Star game.
I agree.
You know, these are competitive athletes. They want to go in, they want to play hockey, compete, but they look at it as saying, okay, it's a 1-game suspension. Hey, I'm going to go on vacation for a week.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of going and playing in the All-Star game, and perhaps even maybe taking a nap on the bench, that type thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was when I was doing my research, I came across an article that was talking about potential cities other than current NHL teams. So this article was suggesting that cities like, let's have a list here, Kansas City, New Orleans, Portland, and Oklahoma. Would you think that it would be a good idea for the NHL to implement the All-Star game in cities outside of current NHL cities?
You know, that's something that's very interesting as well. That's actually been discussed quite a bit. And I mean, the NHL has had exhibition games overseas. And they do have plans in the future to have more exhibition games overseas because they basically look at Asia as an untapped market where they can really promote the game of hockey, the NHL, and really make some serious money there. So to me, it wouldn't be a bad idea. But at the same time, they would have to have full cooperation by the NHLPA. Not sure if they'd be as on board, whereas it would really be the league that could profit there from something like this. But hey, if smart business is smart business. If you can take your game and put it into an untapped market, pull some serious revenue, what's so bad about it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously going to Asia is a pretty big travel commitment for all the players, but I think they care as much as the NHL to see the game grow. And like you said, Asia is a completely untapped market. There's obviously a lot of people there, and hockey could potentially explode there if they market it right.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, what better way than to have all of your big name stars of your game to go over there and really put on a display, put on a show, spectacle, and basically embrace these fans with open arms to say, here's our game, here's our stars, this is what we're all about.
Yeah, definitely. And the other article that I read was about completely getting rid of the All-Star game and what you could replace it with. And one person suggested that each team, that every team would get 1 week off in the NHL in the middle of the regular season, and they would each hold a 1 week hockey camp for kids, and it wouldn't really publicize it. It wouldn't be on TV or anything, but it would basically be a break for all the fans. There would be no hockey that week, and then each city would just hold a hockey kids camp. What do you think about that?
That would be a tough week for me.
Yeah.
A week without hockey, wow, that would be tough. But I know I had the thought process years ago, you know, it was always just a standard format, East versus West. I know I had the thought of, okay, well, what if we make this game more competitive by actually having them play for something? Say, home ice advantage in the Stanley Cup final.
Oh,
if you're East or West. But then that would just totally wipe out the whole standing system.
Yeah, it would.
Of, okay, I finished first in the West, I finished first in the East, that type thing. So it would really cancel it out. But I mean, it was just a thought, because even years ago, I looked at it as, wow, this game is just so linear, so boring. It needs that compete level. That really gets you involved into the game as a spectator, and it just didn't have that. So I was trying to think of different things, but I really think the NHL nailed it with this 3-on-3 tournament. Now that's a very bold statement because I haven't even seen it yet.
Yeah, it's true.
But I think it's going to be incredible.
No, I think you're right. I think this year is going to be probably the most successful All-Star game of all time. I mean, it's in LA, a movie city. There's going to be there's probably going to be some celebrities there.
Oh, the NHL is going to purposely. Yeah. Hey, let's pan the camera over here. Tom Cruise, he's in row 7, seat 9. Yeah, we need to show him on TV.
Yeah.
Hey, look, there's Jack Nicholson. Let's get a shot of him. I mean, come on. It's basically a free way to promote the game.
Oh, yeah.
Because people will say, hey, these celebrities watch hockey. They have interest in hockey. That's awesome. You know? It's a great way to promote the game, and I guarantee you there will be stars in attendance, and they will be shown on camera.
Absolutely. No, I think it's going to be a fun weekend for the fans, a fun weekend for the players, and a very profitable weekend for the NHL.
Oh, yeah, hands down. I know, just based on my experience in 2009 in Montreal, I was at the same hotel as various play-by-play guys. I got to bump into Doc Emmerich in the elevator in Montreal. I actually had a brief conversation with him, and it was really funny because when I first noticed him in the elevator, right away I almost screamed like a schoolgirl, Doc, it's you. I was so excited, and he kind of backed against the wall because I think I frightened him a little bit.
Yeah, no doubt.
And he was actually in shock that I recognized him, and he told me that he's normally never ever recognized anywhere he goes.
Wow.
Because as a play-by-play guy, you're not always shown on camera a whole lot.
Yeah.
People know the voice more than they know the face. So yeah, he was really taken back by that. Got a few autographs too that weekend, which was great. I got to meet Gary Bettman, and I had better seats than Gary Bettman. I was in the third row. Bettman was almost up in the nosebleeds, but I did actually make a point to go and talk to him. And yeah, it was just an incredible experience as a fan.
Well, that's fantastic. I'm glad you had a good time in 2009. I've personally never been to an All-Star game. Maybe if it ever comes back up in this location of the world, up near Atlantic Canada, maybe I'll go visit it for the first time. But I think that's all the questions I have. Do you have anything else to add, or any questions for me or anything like that?
Yeah, one interesting question I have is, I've noticed through my research on the All-Star game, there's been a lot of real outcry of hockey fans saying, hey, I would have taken this guy over this guy for the All-Star roster. Now, a lot of people brought up the argument of Jonathan Toews. Now, Jonathan Toews is an incredible hockey player, two-way player, plays both defense, offense. He has great leadership skills. These are huge qualities in the hockey world. But the fact that Jonathan Toews is having his lowest production year in his entire career kind of brought up the argument of, should Jonathan Toews be on the All-Star game? So a lot of people were saying Panarin should have really been
I agree.
As part of the All-Star roster. So that was my question to you. Is there anybody that was snubbed from the All-Star roster that you would instantly say, okay, they need to be on the All-Star roster? Who would you pick?
This is a bit of a risky choice because I wouldn't consider him to be an All-Star, but this year I think he is definitely an All-Star. He's kept the Los Angeles Kings in contention, and that's Peter Budaj. He came basically out of nowhere due to Jonathan Quick's injury, and he's been absolutely stellar for the Los Angeles Kings, and I think that he should be there absolutely and definitely over Mike Smith.
No, that's a really good choice. I know if I had to pick, I would definitely say Panarin has to be on that team. He is having a phenomenal season. Well, I mean, it does help with the guys he plays with, but I mean, come on, he's having an incredible year, and that's what I always base my All-Star picks on. If I'm actually going to have pen and paper in front of me and I'm going to say, hey, these are the guys I'd like to see on the All-Star roster, I look at the current season. I don't look at their past accomplishments. I focus on the now, and Panarin is the now. Same with Cam Atkinson as well, having an incredible season. And to me, I would have taken Panarin over Toews. And hey, Toews has even gone on public record stating that Panarin should have really been the guy.
Yeah, no, I definitely
should have
agree.
been chosen.
Panarin should definitely be in there. He's having an absolutely fantastic year.
Yeah. But there's a lot of other arguments too. Some may say, okay, Claude Giroux should be on the All-Star team.
Yeah.
Maybe Jamie Benn.
Yeah.
You know, these are huge names, and these are guys that are just dominant in the hockey world. But in reality, the NHL has such an abundance of stars right now, they could really build 2 All-Star weekends.
Yeah, they could.
They really could.
They could.
Yeah. And I always said they should maybe do one just to showcase the rookie talent in the league.
That would be very interesting.
Yeah, you look at guys like Austin Matthews.
Yeah.
He's going to be a superstar in this league. He's already got over 20 goals. I mean, the kid's doing incredible things. And he's doing stuff that a team that is fully built, he's putting up numbers that somebody on one of these fully built teams would be able to put up. And I'm not saying that as a knock on Toronto. I'm saying that as fact that, okay, they do have a very young roster.
Yeah.
They do have a long ways to go before they really build themselves out. And the fact that this kid can put up the numbers that he's putting up with the supporting cast he has is incredible. And I always said that the NHL should showcase, okay, here's our long-standing NHL guys, those that have been there multiple years, and here is our current class of rookies. And it would be an opportunity as well for these guys to really showcase their skills and perhaps land themselves a full-time roster spot.
Absolutely. I totally agree. That's a great suggestion, and I think that'd be fun to watch.
Yeah, it would be. And especially with this 3-on-3 tournament, I'm sure these guys would just be salivating to say, hey, I want to get in on this and showcase my talent, what I can do, and try to earn myself a full-time roster spot moving forward.
Yeah.
And I mean, with a 3-on-3 tournament like this, maybe it's something the league could consider down the road. They could have a rookie 3-on-3 all-star tournament as well as the rest of your NHL players.
Yeah,
it's something to consider.
I think that's a brilliant suggestion. I think that would be very, very exciting to watch. So we're coming up on 27.5 minutes, so I'll wrap it up. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Justin, for being here.
Hey, I enjoyed it and hope to be back at some point.
Definitely. We'll definitely have you back. And if you're stopping by for the first time, and you enjoyed the content, please hit the subscribe button, throw in a like on it if you liked it, and tell us what you think below in the comments. If you liked it, great. If you didn't, let us know, and tell us what you didn't like about it, because we want to get better and we want to grow this channel. And until next time, adios.